Welcome back to Growth Without Referrals. Today, I'm joined by Jonas Stoltzfus of Integro 212. Jonas works with organizations that are trying to grow, but are not just growing randomly. They grow with structure, leadership clarity, and the right people in the right seats. What makes this conversation interesting is that Jonas has lived this, not just coached it. He has helped companies build teams, scale operations, and develop leadership systems that support real growth. Jonas, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Okay. So, Jonas, I'd like to start with where the story began. Before you were advising companies and working with leadership teams, you were inside a growing organization yourself. Walk us through that early experience and what did scaling a company from the inside actually look like?
So we started from scratch. So our company was brand new. My older brother and I, when we first started, we started at zero and we began to build outdoor structures and backyard structures. And so the very first year, we sold about 30 units and we were profitable every single year. And so like most companies, startup companies, they may fail or struggle the first 2-3 years. We didn't. We started with a very robust sales and ended up producing product that we made profit on. And then we started hiring people. We were very green, naive, not very experienced when we first started. But step by step, we grew our product line, we grew our sales, and then we grew our teams. We just hired one after the other. For 5 to 6 years, we were on Dad's home farm. So we live in a farm in farmland and started a business right off of the home property. There was 5 of us brothers. So I'm the second brother. The 2 of us started it and grew it. And then 6 years in, we moved to a local development that was happening where we bought a commercial property and built a larger structure and began building our team from 5 people to 10, then 20, then 30, 40, 50 people that we began to grow over a period of years. And it was simply just putting the next step forward. That's really just putting the next step forward. The mindset we had was, what are we doing right and what are we not doing very well? And what we're doing right, let's do better. And what we're not doing well, either end it or improve it. And so we kept that mindset, always growing to the forefront of our industry. What are our competitors doing? How are they approaching the market? What are we doing in comparison to them? And how can we get better at what we're doing without just looking at them? But how can we do better and better and better? So we got coaches in to help us overcome hurdles and obstacles that we didn't know how to overcome. So we got stuck around $3 million. Between $2 and $3 million, we got stuck. We didn't know how to make it go beyond that. And so we got a growth coach in to help us to go up and beyond that. And within the first year or two, we began upward our climb to 10 million in revenue. And so it didn't take long. It took a lot of hard work. But once you have people that know how to build that, you have to build leadership. You have to build structure. You have to build processes. You have to master marketing. You have to master sales. And we had a guy, the coaches, that understood how to push sales. And it's in any company, when you can push sales and marketing, that's the front part of your engine, part of your business. When you can push sales forward, it's not hard to bring along the rest of the team to produce it. And so in many companies today, the challenge is to get enough of sales, get enough of clients, get enough of things happening in the front side to fill the orders in the back side is easy. Most companies I coach, we can master that no problem. Especially in the season that we're in 2026, we're kind of the backside of the COVID spike of outdoor industry and even housing market and that kind of thing. And so to build a solid company that can then push forward sales and then produce behind it really well, it's always that healthy balance in pushing new sales and building the team that's going to then supply that. So that's what I do as a coach. It's kind of part of the journey that we had, learning how to push our company beyond our own comfort zone, like learning how to do the next phase and having somebody to push us into that and guide us into that and become better and better every day. It's not something that you just go from 0 to 100 in a matter of a year. You go 0 to to 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 to 25. You just keep pushing it up. That's what we did.
Excellent. Excellent. I love that story, Jonas. And, you really lived it.
Yep,
It was sounds like it was a lot of hard work. It
it
was,
is.
and that's what it takes. It takes the right kind of attitude and just persevering. And a lot of companies think growth problems are revenue problems, but from what you had seen, that's usually not the case. In your experience, when companies hit a growth ceiling, what is actually causing the friction?
Typically, leadership is its own bottleneck or its own stuck place, the mindset within the company. There's times when we run into scenarios where the structure's not built to handle growth. And if you're getting chaotic at, let's say, 20 people on your team, you're starting to get really chaotic. You have to build the infrastructure or the structure within your company that's going to handle the 20 people and help you build towards 50 people. Things start breaking down if you don't have clarity, if you don't have leadership that knows how to lead, how to solve problems, if you don't know how to delegate well, if you don't have the right people in the right seats. That's really big. Having the wrong kind of talent and the wrong kind of person in the wrong seat. It's really big when you don't have the right people. You can't grow beyond that. So I would say getting good people and even developing in your own leadership as a leader, investing in yourself as a leader, because leaders usually don't hire people. You can hire skill sets that are beyond you, technical skill sets that are beyond your own. You should learn how to do that. But usually it takes a good solid leader to get good solid people.
Absolutely. And Jonas, is there a point where growth exposes weaknesses that were always there but hidden?
Well, absolutely. When you grow, all your weaknesses start showing up, pressure, and let's say there's more work than what you can handle, and all of a sudden, your SOPs you never built or way that you approach things to accomplish the task show up that might not work at a higher volume. Whenever there's pressure put upon a team or an organization, the weaknesses show up: attitudes, mindsets, stress. Those kind of things will expose your character. It will expose areas that you haven't built in your character, areas you haven't built in your leadership, areas you haven't built in your structure, SOPs you haven't developed, or even financial areas in finances that you haven't mastered yet suddenly become a problem. And what you could get away with when you're a small company, you won't get away with when you're larger. Growth always exposes weakness.
Okay.
Yes.
And one thing that stands out about your work is how intentionally you approach hiring, not just filling roles, but building capability. How should companies think differently about hiring if they want predictable growth?
Well, hiring the right person for the right seat is always the most important thing when you're looking for hiring. Some companies will just hire someone to fill the seat. The guy might have the skill set to do the job. You might be looking at competency, which is good, but we look at so much more than that. We look at somebody's personality, their disc profile, and see whether their personality fits the role. We will also use Patrick Lencioni's 6-type working genius, which has recently become very popular, where he has the lens in which you're cut out for the job and find joy doing that type of work. And we discover their genius, whether their genius fits the seat. And then we also look for like the ideal team player characteristics, whether a person is hungry, humble, and smart. And then we'll also take a look at the competency. Like we can't miss that part. Like somebody has to be competent. Some people just get the type of work you're wanting to fit them in. They just get it and they will build it out. And they come from somewhere else where they did it before and they were good at it. Others may have never done it, and you may have to do a lot of training and development to get them up to speed to do their job. We recommend hiring people that have the competency, the qualities, the character, and then most important is the cultural fit, that they actually think and value the values we have. So that's what we recommend when you hire. You have way more of an intense hiring screening, and you don't just hire a person to fit a seat that just because they know how to do something.
And Jonas, thanks for bringing this up. Some people might think bad hires is a financial impact, and it is, but
Yep.
it goes past that.
Yep.
There's cultural impacts, right?
Yep.
And it can actually disrupt the organization. And so that's a great insight.
It also creates
Hmm.
more stress on those around them, which then will become a productivity challenge too.
Very true. So
Yeah.
let's connect this back to the theme of the show. A lot of firms grow through referrals and reputation, which works for a long time, but eventually that creates unpredictability. From your perspective, where do you think referral driven goal models start to break?
Well, if you're looking at sales and marketing, and I coach some companies with referral driven sales, and typically referral driven sales takes years to build. It's really good. It's the most inexpensive way to grow your business is through referrals. Treat people really well. They'll tell their friends, great raving fans. But the growth is slower and it takes
Hmm.
a generation to build, like 20 years to build a really highly referral based company. So I think it's much longer to build that way. I think it's important to have referrals. I think as
Yes.
a company that you would do so well that they would tell their friends, but it's a much slower growth plan. And so I do believe in doing the right kind of marketing, the target marketing to a target group of people that will get to know you quicker, that you'll be able
Hmm.
to expand and increase your business much quicker and shrink the amount of time that it takes to build it.
Okay. And Jonas, what happens inside organizations when growth becomes reactive instead of intentional?
Well, it becomes way more chaotic and stressful
Mm.
for people when they haven't pre-planned for growth and growth takes off without them preparing for it. And so it becomes way more chaotic, way more pressure, way more stress, and people start making decisions on the spur of the moment, and they don't make as good of a decision that way as when they planned for growth and planned for like which seat they're going to fill, which people they're going to bring in, which technology they need to handle the growth, software, the SOPs, the processes they need to develop to prepare for the growth. But when people are prepared for growth, it makes it so much funner, easier, and more beautiful for everybody than when you didn't plan and it takes you by surprise and you're reacting. You're always behind in developing things, and it creates a lot more stress on everybody. Yeah.
Something you have focused heavily on is leadership development, not just hiring people, but developing leaders. How early should companies start developing their leaders?
From day one. We should be
Okay.
developing our team and our leaders from the beginning. We should, first of all, be developing ourselves as a leader. We should read books. We should take courses. We should have a coach. We should apply ourselves to knowledge and to learning and to growing from the beginning. And then as we bring people in, we should either hire leaders that are already developed ahead of their role, or we should be developing the ones that we bring in. We should always be developing leaders within our company.
Absolutely. What's the biggest leadership mistake companies make during scaling?
Well, the biggest mistake that a company may make in their leadership during scaling is either you'll hire people that are not fitting your culture and they need
Okay.
to have some time to align themselves with your culture, or you hire people that are, you thought they're better than they were and they're not as good as they said, or you thought that they were. And so therefore they can't actually keep up the pace, or you haven't prepared your leaders for the growth, and the leaders are still thinking the old, especially today's businesses and the way people are doing business is changing so fast that if your leaders aren't equipped and prepared for the changes that are happening, they're going to be left behind. People have to recognize technology it's growing in leaps and bounds. The technology that's on the market today versus what was 2 years ago. I mean, there's some of the basics that are still here, but it's changing so fast. You have to adapt to the technology and the software that's coming out. And you have to adapt your mindset in how you approach the business because it's changing. Digital marketing and digital platforms and even how people purchase and buy are different than they bought 5 to 10 years ago. But the whole mindset has been shifting. And so people have to be able to adapt their mindset to what the current market is demanding from them.
Yes. Yes.
And so
And
I
that's a
would
great
say they're
point.
too slow to adapt to the changes that are happening.
Okay. Let's talk about the other side of the equation. Not just what works, but what does not.
Okay.
From your experience, what are the most common mistakes companies make when trying to grow? And I'm going to give you some things to think about, and you let me know what you think. Is it hiring too late, hiring too fast, promoting the wrong people, ignoring the culture? What would you think?
Mistakes that I have seen, and it may make a difference depending what type of company that you have.
Okay.
Since I was a coach for the last 10 years and we're in 2026, so I was a coach from 2016 to 2026. And the season after COVID in 2020 in the spring, when everything shut down in the country, restaurants shut down for a season, what happened to the rest of the world after things opened back up, e-commerce shot through the roof. Real estate
Mm,
was rising. Consumers were so hungry to buy that most companies didn't adapt their pricing structure or their profitability because during those 2 years in 2020 and 21 and 22, by the time they were able to make the product, their raw prices were going. Inflation was high, and one
mm,
of the biggest challenges that I saw people make is they didn't stay up financially in their numbers. And some people lost a lot of money because they didn't stay on top of the financial upswing that was happening. And so what started breaking down in their teams was everybody was so busy producing for the sales that were being made that when things started slowing down and going the backside of the curve, people hadn't prepared marketing. They hadn't prepared their salespeople because anybody could sell in a hot market. But when things got harder, those who didn't pay attention to staying sharp in their marketing, staying sharp on their sales, growing and develop their sales team, all of a sudden found themselves wanting
mm.
lack of sales. And so then they had to switch their mindset and start saying, hey, we gotta start mastering marketing. We gotta figure this thing out because our sales are drying up. We gotta train our salespeople. They're a year or two behind. So one of the things that I worked hard on my clients is that they do not slack whatsoever in investing in their marketing and mastering it, investing in their salespeople and mastering it, even when everything was very busy and it was easy to sell anything. You still had to push forward with that. So um, I worked hard on that. And then those in the backside of it that that prepared themselves are selling a lot of stuff in 24 and 25 and now 26,
Mm.
when some markets are soft, and it takes a while to build this marketing and sales engine. Those who did well today are doing very well. Those who didn't, they're struggling to catch up.
I love that perspective, Jonas. Thank you. And where should companies focus first if they want sustainable scaling?
Sustainable scaling, it takes a couple of areas. One is cultures coming to my mind. You want to build the right mindset and the right type of culture inside your company if you're planning to scale. But you have to have clarity in your purpose. You have to have your core values, how we behave, established and instilled. You have to have a company culture that thinks correctly, has the right mindset, and then the structure to build,
Mm.
such as your organizational structure, your accountability structure, and then your SOPs. If these are all well built, you have culture, you have your structure, and then you have to invest in your leaders. You can't scale beyond your leadership abilities. So you have to train your leaders and have good people in the right place before you scale. If you scale before you have leaders positioned well and they know what they're doing, your scaling is going to be so much harder because you have incompetent people leading teams. You're growing your team of people, and the leaders are not competent, and so things are going to start falling apart. Yeah.
So, Jonas, looking ahead over the next 3 to 5 years, are leadership models changing?
Well, that's a good question. The next 5 years, are they changing? I would say there's been a shift in the management style kind of leadership, and it's already happening. I don't know that this is brand new, but the shifts I've seen in the last 10 years has to do with the director style. I'm in charge. I'm going to tell you how to do it and what to do, is shifting to developing others and going from management style leadership to more of a leadership style, leading people to develop and grow, enabling them to make decisions, taking a coach approach to developing your leaders rather than a direct approach telling them exactly what they have to do. I see the marketplace inviting people to a journey of growth, of developing themselves to become leaders. And that style of leadership, I also have seen some of the books that are coming out, leading from a style of being candid with your people, being able, like Patrick Lencioni has the 5 dysfunctions of a team, being able to wrestle with hard conversations at the table and not running over each other, not having a toxic argument, but having the healthy conflict idea instead of one man says how to do it. It's more like taking the idea of a team and the team decides how to do it. And you wrestle through these hard conversations and come out with a much better result than when you have a solo guy making all the decisions. And so that has shifted. I see that changing where teams are being put in place, where they wrestle through the conversations, the harder topics, and they take responsibility as a team. Accountability within the team, and Patrick Lencioni does a great job at this, where he illustrates or demonstrates the idea that you agreed on this together, and so you're going to hold each other accountable to what we've agreed on. One person can't just go off and change his direction or the course. And so the team dynamic, that's what we build at Integro: leadership, teamwork, and how to lead teams that are highly effective,
Okay.
high-performing teams.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Jonas, this has been a fantastic conversation, and I have one final question. If a company's feeling stuck, growing but struggling to scale, what is the first step they should take?
Well, I would say get a coach that understands their situation. The reason being, it could be many different things. I don't know that it would be just one answer. If their culture is horrible and toxic, or if their leadership is undeveloped, or their software is outdated, or maybe their product is outdated, it could be a host of things. Maybe they're mismanaging money. They don't have cash to invest in growth. Maybe it's sales and marketing. Maybe it's treating their customers better. So many different things that, one singular thing that they could do. I would say get a coach to help them break the.
Okay, I like that. And Jonas, for listeners who want to learn more about your work and what you're doing at Integro 212, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, you go to our website, you go into Integro 212, Integro 212, and go and find a contact us page, or go to the coaches page and go and fill out a form. We're very responsive. Unlike some companies, you fill out a form and nobody gets back to you. We get back to you within 12 business hours or within one day. We're back to you, calling you, sending you an email, contacting you. So just go there and you will receive a response quickly from us. Yeah.
And for our listeners, I will be posting Jonas's contact information and website in the description of this podcast below. Okay? And Jonas, thanks again for joining me. I really appreciate your time.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here, and this was an honor.